Today I combine two of my great loves, whiskey and cake.
Hello, Bill. I see that you have a new whiskey. It looks delicious.
Yeah, this is the Glenmorangie A Tale of Cake.
I know a bit about cake. This will be a fun experiment. Let's get into it.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Tonight we're going to be talking about A Tale of Cake, which is a new expression by Glenmorangie. It's limited edition, but I can't find it in my area. So I reached out to Glenmorangie, I happen to have a contact there, and asked them to send me a bottle, because frankly, I will fully admit, I was taken by the art direction of this bottle. This just looks so cool. The color, style choices that they made here, it looks very retro, and just something about it spoke to me. So I really wanted to review it. I couldn't get my hands on it, so they sent me a bottle for free. Figured I'd let you guys know. But if you guys want to learn more about Glenmorangie, you can check out the video up there, and I talk all about the Glenmorangie original. But things to know, basically Glenmorangie's been around since 1843, was founded by a guy named William Matheson, and the name Glenmorangie means Vale of Tranquility, or Vale of Big Meadows. So a couple of random little tidbits there for you. So let's talk about this whiskey. What about this whiskey makes it special? Dr. Bill is the director of whiskey creation at Glenmorangie, and he has been just a legend in the industry for so many years. 25 years he's been working for Glenmorangie, and he always encourages people to kind of make whiskeys that fit some sort of memory that they have. So for example, the Signet is supposed to remind people of coffee. The Alta is supposed to remind people of the barley fields that are outside of the Glenmorangie distillery. And in general, that's what he did here. He talked to himself. He was like, so many good events in my life have revolved around cake. And, that's relatable, honestly. I mean, birthdays notwithstanding, think of things like, gender reveal parties, unless they involve, of course, fireworks and burn down half of California. But I digress. Anything else, really. There's lots of reasons to have cake in your life. And because of that, there's a lot of good memories that are revolving around that. And that's fair. And I love that idea. So he set out to make a whiskey that reminded him of some of these memories. So a couple of them that he pointed out were working with his grandmother, Granny, in her kitchen. And then another one that he mentioned had to do with his daughter making a pineapple upside down cake for him. And these are both things that kind of wanted to recreate. So he sourced these things called Tokaji. Tokaji is a dessert wine, and it sounds Japanese, but it's actually from Hungary. And they're these particular grapes. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about wine, but I did a little bit of research. So Tokaji, being a dessert wine, it is infected essentially with this noble rot, is what it's called. And what that does is it rots the grapes, which causes the sugars within the grapes to concentrate a little bit more, and it makes for a sweeter wine. People are insane what they figured out. Let's grow some great grapes so it makes a good wine. No, let's rot these grapes because sugar. Things are nuts. But either way, so they came up with this idea, made this wine, whatever. So Dr. Bill took these casks and he finished this whiskey in it. He took the regular Glenmorangie 10 and finished it in Tokaji casks. So it's a familiar story. However, I will say that this is the first time I've ever heard of a whiskey being in that particular type of cask. If you guys know any other ones, let me know, because I'll tell you, this is a little bit up my alley and I might be interested. So here's the question. Is it any good? Well, let's get to the nosing and the tasting. All right. So when we're nosing this, it's 46%. So slight burn, there'll be a slight burn. So just keep your nose, a little further away. But let's go ahead and give it a nose. So the first thing that you notice is very sweet, extremely sweet, and that's fitting, right? But then you've got some plum in here. Now, thinking about cake, plum is not something that necessarily sticks out to me, but when I think of a dessert wine, plum absolutely is something that sticks out to me, so that makes a little bit of sense too. Honey, that's typical, but also belongs in a sweet-smelling whiskey. Now, there's something else here, and I'm leaning towards cherry. I'm not sure if I'm being influenced by the concept of like a pineapple upside down cake, which I mentioned his daughter made for him. But in my mind, I'm smelling cherry, but it's off. What it is it's more sweet than a cherry would be. So I kind of, in my notes here, I have written down cherry's Jubilee, just because there's extra little creaminess there, it's extra sugary, and both of those are represented in this whiskey to me. So, and that's mostly it. If you smell this whiskey, it's going to smell a little familiar to you. There'll be nuance there for sure, but it's going to smell a little familiar. It smells like a Glenmorangie with extra steps. So let's go ahead and have a taste. Cheers. Sorry, I caught myself enjoying it there for a couple minutes, a little bit longer than I normally do. Yeah, all right. So pineapple, first and foremost, is absolutely the number one thing for me. And there's this weird feeling that I'm getting right now, and you can see I've had a little bit of this. I've only had this for a day, so I've already drank past the shoulder. Not bad. Something that I've been experiencing is after that first sip, when you inhale. Now, this is a thing that you can do with whiskey, pretty much any whiskey. When you talk about a finish, people think about a couple of different things. They think about how does it taste in your throat? If you kind of like back here, how does it taste, 30 seconds after you swallow? And then there's a third thing that people don't really talk too much about, and that's when you inhale through your mouth. The drying sensation that you get on the whiskey can produce other flavors. Now for me, right now, not only is the pineapple just at the forefront, but it's heavy in that inhale, right? It's just sticking in your mouth. Now this is a pretty viscous whiskey. It's pretty thick. So it's not oily per se, but it does coat your mouth very well. So some of the other flavors I'm getting here are pound cake. Now that's reminiscent of cake. Pretty cool. Now, I think I'm getting a little bit of cherry, but more so what I think he did was he nailed that pineapple upside down cake flavor, except for brown sugar. Brown sugar isn't really prevalent in here, but cherry, pineapple, and cake in a whiskey is pretty delicious. So anyway, that's I think that's fantastic. So something that I did today, I decided to make my own memory, right? So this is a whiskey, as I mentioned, that is supposed to remind you of cake and fun times that you had. And I decided to make my own memories, right? So earlier today, it's Sunday, I was hanging out with my daughters and my wife, and my daughters are 4 and 6, and we decided to make a cake. And I said, hey, you know what? I want to make a pineapple upside down cake. It's been a long time since I've made one of these, and it's honestly, I kind of half forgot what it tasted like. For the most part, I figured it tasted like cherries and pineapple, but this cake is amazing. And I gotta say, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna put the recipe that I use down in the description below, just in case you feel like making it. Maybe throw some, whiskey in there, throw some bourbon in there. I think it probably tastes fine. Anyway, so this cake's delicious. I thought I'd make my own memories, so I made a cake with my daughters, and they loved it. They wanted to try it. And personally, I've been looking forward to filming because I wanted to have another couple bites of this cake. So here's the thing. I don't usually do food pairings on this channel, and I'm not against them. I have no problem doing them. I've done a couple of cooking episodes. If you haven't checked out the bourbon chili, by the way, it's becoming fall. You got to try that. Not a single person has told me that it isn't like their new favorite kind of chili. So anyway, I would love to do more food pairings. If you guys are interested in any concepts of that, just put it down in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to kind of explore there, and I'm happy to film it. All right, so I'm a newbie at this. I'm thinking I should take a bite first and then have some of the whiskey. So let's go ahead and do that and see if it does, in fact, enhance the whiskey, because Dr. Bill says it should. So I'm going to grab a nice bite here with cherry and the cake. So here we go. It's amazing. All right. So obviously cakes and, taste is very fresh. So let's go ahead and have a sip. Cheers. Ooh, that's interesting. So at first I wasn't sold. I will say, like, the taste of the cake is so sweet that even the sweetest whiskey would have trouble competing with it. We're talking brown sugar on the top, maraschino cherries, pineapple, and pineapple juice in place of the water in the cake, right? So it's a very sweet cake. But when you taste the whiskey, it's a little bit more muted at first. But hold on, I want to see if I can really nail what's going on there. Yeah. So the taste is, I wouldn't say that it's accentuated by the cake, but I would say that it's a good accompaniment. This was based off a dessert wine, and dessert wine's meant to be had after dessert typically. You can drink it with dessert, of course, but it's a dessert wine. You have it at the end of your meal. But these two just go good together. It tastes almost like they deserve to be kind of one piece, almost like if you were to just make an alcoholic version of a pineapple upside down cake, it would taste like this. And that's pretty good. So yeah, all right, let's talk overall, because after I'm done filming this while I'm editing, totally going to eat the heck out of this cake. But let's talk overall, because I want you to know whether I feel that this is worth your money. As always, I have no idea what your situation is financially, so I try to keep that into account. I rarely recommend things that are over $100, and this is $119. It's a limited edition, so to some degree, there's a certain percentage of that is strictly novelty, and that's fair. So my question to myself is always, using money I make off the channel, which is not very much, would I buy this whiskey with that money? Yes. In this case, I would do that. $119 is right at the cusp, though. I don't think I would even pay $125 for this. So what you're going to want to do if you want this is go buy it now. It's going to be, scalped. People are going to sell this on the secondary market. They just are. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's reality. So if this is a thing that you're interested in trying, go buy it. $120 or $119 is not too much for a whiskey like this. A 10-year-old Scotch going for that much is a lot, but this is finished in some pretty rare and unique barrels that, like I said, I've never even heard of being used before. So this is going to introduce you to some new flavors and just kind of something that you can probably tack up to your whiskey experience. So my recommendation would be to buy it. I don't think you're going to be able to find it anywhere to try it, but if you have a friend who has it, definitely get your hands on it. So thank you for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary, and have a great rest of your night. Cheers.